This is the story of one of the nastiest mountain bike crashes I've ever had and how it will affect the future of my riding along with the future of this channel. For those who have been following the channel recently, you know that I've been riding a lot of gravity and jumps lately. This was partly because of COVID restrictions, especially when it came to jumps, but also I was really enjoying pushing my riding in new ways. I felt like I was making real progress with my riding and I was getting that feedback from you, the community, as well. For the most part, I've had a year of great progression and next to no crashes or injuries. Part of that is probably a little bit of luck, and the other part is being really careful about what I actually attempt and making sure that I'm not pushing the envelope, I'm not trying to go too big, too fast. So the holidays had arrived and it was time to head down to the Mornington Peninsula with my wife Ashley and 15-month-old daughter Remy. I was stoked to be down at the beach house with the family, not only so we could relax and enjoy some really quality time together, but also because really nearby was this amazing trail center that I'd heard so much about. I had so many requests from you folks to go and check this place out, and the time had finally arrived. A couple of days into the holiday, I finally got the chance to ride these amazing trails I'd heard so much about. This place is renowned for its gravity riding and jumps, and it's all handmade by local riders. Gravity mountain bike paradise. This is steep. Whoa. I'm not going to publicize the name or location of this trail center out of respect for the trail builders. And if you do know the location, please don't share it in the comments. Day one was spent exploring the trails with the help of some local young riders who showed me around. The more trails I rode, the more I felt I discovered my dream riding location. Loads of steep tech, jumps of all shapes and sizes everywhere, and a plethora of trails. Literally so many trails. So much work has gone into this place over the years. I felt like these trails could push my riding in so many ways. And I also felt like I'd come to the end of a chapter in my riding journey, having finally arrived here. With that came a slight sense of dread, which was really hard to explain. Was this the end of some kind of road for me? It was a really strange feeling, and looking back on it, an uncanny prediction of what was to come. Despite that, I wrapped up my first day's riding absolutely buzzing and super keen to return as soon as I could. A couple of days later, on Christmas Eve, I headed back with my friend Sean. I was really keen to share this amazing location with him. We headed down the hill and hit a few jumps and steep sections of trail. And we came across this insanely steep rock garden which we both decided was too steep to ride. We're giving this one a miss today. See, look at us being so restrained and responsible. We continued down the hill and found ourselves on a trail that I'd ridden on day one. Got the jump this time. And this is where I crashed. If you're all squeamish or you don't want to watch the crash, now is probably a good time to skip to the next part of the video. So looking at this trail, it doesn't scream worst crash in ages, does it? I guess that's the thing about crashes, they don't always happen on the gnarliest of terrain. Okay, let's roll tape. I'm right, I got stars in my eyes. Damn it!
Sit up on the log.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the trail. I'm trying to stand up here, but I'm super dizzy, confused, and disorientated. I'd had a major knock to the head and probably pretty serious concussion. By this time, Sean had caught up with me and helped move my bike off the trail. Let's rewind and take a look at what actually happened. I was really keen to hit this small jump that I missed previously, and I tried to maintain as much momentum through this section. I cleared the jump, no worries, but that meant I was coming in a little hot for the next corner. I hit the brakes and then suddenly my front wheel dropped away from me, having fallen in some kind of hole or rut. Got the jump this time. To this day, I don't exactly know what happened here. And in a split second, I went from hands on handlebars to head on ground. As my head hit the ground, I felt my spine compress, which really freaked me out. But in the moment, I didn't think it was too bad. Obviously, my body was in shock because it was really pretty bad. My thumb had also taken a bit of the impact and I'd bent the nail right back on itself. I'd also hit my mouth pretty hard, and despite having a full face on, I'd chipped a couple of teeth. My feelings directly after the crash were that of being really pissed off at myself. I'm the father of a young child, and if I'm not able to pick her up, carry stuff, play with her, do all the stuff dads do, it puts an incredible strain on my wife Ashley. I'd been absolutely paranoid I was going to injure myself and put Ashley and Remy in that position. As I was laying on the ground, those fears were becoming a reality. After taking 10 or 15 minutes for the pain and intense nausea and confusion to wear off, Sean and I gingerly made our way down the hill and drove home. Which I know was extremely silly, but I was definitely not thinking straight at the time. So once I got home, it was pretty clear to the family that I needed to go to hospital, and reluctantly I threw some things in my bag and my father-in-law drove me down to Frankston Hospital emergency. Thus beginning one of the worst 24 hours of my life. I needed several scans and x-rays of my brain, spine and hand, and at times these were really difficult. I'm not sure if any of you have had the dye injected into your body for a CT scan, but that is one unpleasant experience, something I would not wish on anyone. I also had to have my thumbnail folded back, which was one of the most painful experiences of my life. I'll spare you the details on that. I was also alone for a lot of this due to COVID restrictions, which was really tough. As I lay there on Christmas Eve, I thought about my family and how I wasn't going to be able to read my daughter Remy the night before Christmas, which was really, really sad. As time went on, it was pretty clear that I was going to have to stay overnight in the hospital. My self-esteem was at rock bottom, and it was a really massive challenge just to stay on top of the mental side of things. The physical diagnosis wasn't great either. I'd crushed 3 vertebrae in my thoracic spine, which is the part of your spine that starts just below your neck and finishes just at the bottom of your rib cage. When I was younger, I did a similar injury on a jump, another mountain bike accident, and crushed 3 vertebrae in the same spot. So injuring this part of my back again was really not good. Finally, after a really long, painful and sleepless night, I was able to return home for Christmas lunch the next day. Finally getting out, woo! Never been so happy to see 2 doors. But I actually wasn't out of the woods. Over lunch, I noticed in my left eye, there was kind of a TV static kind of splotch that was impairing my vision. For some reason, I just didn't notice this in hospital with everything else going on. And so the next morning on Boxing Day, it was time to head back to Frankston again and investigate what was going on with my eyes. After more waiting and more scans, they eventually sent me down to the Eye and Ear Hospital in East Melbourne for a retina scan. I've since had another follow-up appointment, and it looks like my retina was just bruised, and the layers inside of my retina are slowly returning to normal, and I'm pretty sure the splotch in my left eye is starting to dissipate and become smaller, so that, thank God, is a positive. But it just goes to show you how fragile the body is, and it really gave me a hell of a scare. The thought that I could have had a permanent vision impairment from this accident for the rest of my life was really sending me into a bit of a tailspin. But that's kind of not the scariest part of all this, and not the kind of game changer. It's the spine. The damage to my spine was extensive, and crushing 3 vertebrae in that part of my spine is a serious injury. If I did fall and crash like this again, my spine is now weakened further from this crash, and that could really heighten the risk that my spine could just collapse and sever my spinal cord and I'd be a paraplegic. I'm still waiting to hear from doctors about my prognosis and exactly what that means for the future of my riding, and I'll know that information in about a month. But this is what is going to change how I ride forever now. I'm not going to be doing any more gravity riding or jumps. It's just not worth the risk. I'm almost 40 years old. I'm a father. I have serious responsibilities. This crash for me has been a massive wake-up call, and it's time to change fundamentally my approach to riding and the risks I'm taking. That has been a really tough pill to swallow. I was loving that kind of riding. I loved pushing my technical game to its limits, but with that comes a whole bunch of risk which I am now no longer willing to take. I want to take a moment to acknowledge all the awesome messages of support that I've been receiving from you, the community, both here on YouTube and on Instagram. It's been really remarkable to see how many people have reached out and showed that they cared and sent me messages of encouragement. That really means a lot and helped me get through some really tough days after the accident. So thank you so much for those. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been recovering with my family and really keeping my head down. I literally could not have got through this without the support of my wife and the rest of the family. Since the crash, I've been sleeping a lot. I've just been really exhausted. I think my body is just recovering from that intense shock. Thankfully, I haven't been in too much pain with my back, and my thumb is really, it's coming along. It's looking a lot better than it was the day of the accident. I can now kind of use it, and it's really coming along nicely. But yeah, the mental side of things has probably been the hardest part of all this. Trying to stay positive about my future on the bike has been really difficult since riding is such a massive part of my identity. There's also that feeling of intense guilt. Was I being reckless with my riding? Was I taking unnecessary risks? It's really hard to answer these questions, and I think I was particularly unlucky in this situation with this crash, the way I fell. But then on the flip side, a crash and potentially a bad crash is pretty much inevitable with gravity riding. So where to from here? Well, things are looking much better with my eye. I'm going to keep resting my back. I will try and stay fit on Zwift as much as I can. I think that's going to really help with the mental side of things. And then I really just want to, get back to work and also spend some really quality time with my family. So although this is a bit of a cautionary tale, I don't want this to be viewed as an anti-mountain biking video. But it is a stark reminder about what can go wrong when we take these calculated risks. Your body is not invincible. You only have one brain, one spine. You've really got to look after them. It's also about being prepared. Thank God, I can't imagine what would have happened if I wasn't wearing a full face helmet. I was wearing gloves, I was wearing knee and elbow pads, but if I was wearing a neck brace, things could have been a lot different in terms of my diagnosis with my spine and my spinal injury. So if you are riding gravity especially, think through the risks you're taking, what's at stake, and really ask yourself, do I have enough protective gear on? Because those decisions could make a massive impact on your life if things were to go wrong in the trail. I'll let you know what's happening with my riding in maybe a month or so when I know more. Please subscribe if you haven't already and like the video if you enjoyed it. And also watch out for the Rebel Ranger review video that's coming soon. I'm still gonna do that. God, I love that bike. I actually think back to how awesome that thing was and how much fun I had on it, and I'm just like, damn. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you soon. Ciao.